Don't buy this new Apple product yet. Their next event just leaked.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the All Future Podcast. We're here several times a week talking about all kinds of tech. And today, Ryan, guess what? Guess what? You'll never guess.
What?
An Apple event leaked. An Apple event leaked.
Wow.
There's another Apple event coming. This is the one we've been talking about for a little while. It's that October event that's probably going to have those new Macs, including that very, very, very cool sounding Mac Mini that I absolutely do not need but want to buy for some reason. But some other things as well. Ryan, what's going on?
Well, first, we're expecting new MacBook Pros and MacBook Airs. Currently, they're on M3. We're expecting them to go to M4. And we've been talking about this for a couple weeks at this point. But there is a new leak of a packaging leak, which is showing that it will have 16 gigs of RAM and 512 gigabytes of storage at the baseline with the M4. So those were specs we were expecting based on other rumors, but now it seems pretty much confirmed because the packaging itself actually leaked. And if you're in the market right now for a MacBook Pro or Air, now is definitely a good time to wait. We're already seeing some discounts ahead of this event, but it seems like it could be 3 to 4 weeks until you get an entirely new one with the latest chip. And we can probably assume that that chip is optimized for Apple Intelligence. They talked about the iPad Pro being the best iPad for AI, or best, I guess they probably said best tablet for AI ever. And it's going to now have that chip in the MacBook Pro and MacBook Air. What are your thoughts, Matt?
Cool, man. I mean, this is so expected, this update, right? But again, it is interesting that when the baselines, having that 16 gigabytes of RAM as your baseline instead of 8, clearly probably something to do with wanting to give it more RAM for AI in the lower end models. And yeah, I don't know, you're a crazy person if you're buying a MacBook right now. It's a shame though. I'll tell you, the way the Apple cycle is working right now is that MacBooks are geared for holiday sales. And I bet a ton of people buy new MacBooks in August for back to school. So
Yeah.
So it's like, sorry, kids. But
Yeah, it's true. And it's like, I can't wait. I need this next month.
Exactly. Yeah.
This month. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the example of the kind of person who has to do an upgrade, who can't listen to our advice and wait. But in terms of just, am I excited about these new MacBooks? No, obviously not. I mean, there's just the same thing here. I don't think there's anything super to get excited about. I am always excited for general progress, but as we've said many times here, man, since the switch to M chips, they are so good that leap in performance between the different iterations of it is pretty minuscule. It's hard to really notice it, especially for what most people are using these for. To use that student kind of analogy, someone typing notes in their physics class or whatever, having that M4 is not going to make a whole lot of difference between the M3. In fact, I would say it will make none. So so if you did get a MacBook recently, I wouldn't worry about it too much. But if you're planning on getting one tomorrow, maybe wait a little bit.
Yeah, and waiting is just because of price as well. One, you're going to get the more updated one with the latest chip if you wait a couple weeks. Or you could just wait a couple weeks and buy the same MacBook that you're going to get today. Probably going to be still sold, maybe through Apple, but maybe through people like Best Buy or Amazon. You'll be able to get that M3 version in a couple weeks for a couple $100 off. And actually, interestingly, speaking of discounts, we're already seeing M4 iPad Pros getting discounted right now, and they're anywhere from $70 to $200 off on Amazon. Now, that $200 off is for the very much most expensive one with the special anti-glare display and everything. 2 terabytes, incredibly expensive iPad, $200 off. But still, these discounts are there if you're in the market for an iPad Pro. There are some discounts if you check over on Amazon right now. I do find those discounts interesting. It hasn't been out for that long. Is this normal?
But I wouldn't say normal, but not weird. It's in the realm of things that happen. These sales are usually about them making profits selling all the add-ons and stuff like that. So they're trying to get they're giving you $200 off for a thing that costs $1,700. Plus, they're going to sell you on cases and warranty and all that sort of stuff, right? So that's not unusual for that sort of thing to happen. This is I'm gonna hijack it. This isn't in the notes at all. But do you know what's going on with iOS 18 and iPad Pros and 4 iPad Pros?
I've heard about this a little bit. Something like I only saw a couple headlines, but it's something like the latest iPad Pro is not getting iOS 18 yet.
Does not have. Yeah, I'm looking at my notes here on my very cool M4 iPad Pro, which I love. And guess what? I look like a fool running iOS 17 on this thing because I guess the iOS 18 update bricked a bunch of iPads, at least in enough numbers that it made Apple pull the update. And the fact that that hasn't been fixed yet, that's something's going on there. You know, like if like usually if there's some kind of glitch with an update, like Apple will fix that pretty quickly, right? Because that's not something obviously you want. So the fact that it's, I mean, at this point, almost 2 weeks that iOS 18's been out, right? I don't know what the exact date is, but it's been a significant amount of time and still not on the iPad Pros. So I wonder if something's happening, with iOS 18 and what's going on with the iPad specifically. Maybe something with the M4s on an iPad or something like that. Because why is it just the Pros? You know, like
I mean, I can download iPad. Which, by the way, for all the annoyed people who care about semantics too much, it's iPad OS 18, Matt, not iOS 18.
I apologize to everyone. Yes,
but no, I have an iPad Pro. Like I bought it, I don't know, maybe a year or so ago, a little longer. This is, I think, an M1 or M2 iPad Pro, and I can download iPad OS 18. So it does seem to be an M4 thing only.
Yeah. So I'm sitting over here like a loser, man. Your silly old iPad's got it, and mine doesn't. But I don't think that has anything to do with discounts from Best Buy or whatever. Yeah. But it does. It's like, ooh, like that's a little bit of a red flag. I think that bug hasn't been fixed, and it was a bug that was so bad it was bricking devices. So like it was definitely screwing up something deep in the architecture there for that to happen.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I feel like we've had them pull stuff before and been surprised by software mess ups by Apple, and they're usually pretty good about pulling it, which is what they did here. But yeah, I was not expecting that to be that the latest devices with the latest chip and all the functionality, the best iPad for AI ever, is actually outdated right now.
Yeah, I can't use Apple Intelligence on the best device for Apple Intelligence ever, according to Apple. So yeah, it's a tragedy over here.
Very weird. But the next device we'll just breeze through right here is the redesigned Mac Mini. Matt, you're very excited about this one. Essentially, this is supposed to be like the Apple TV type shape, maybe a little bit taller, and instead of the current bigger shape of the Mac Mini. So it's going to be a total design overhaul. 5 USB-C ports, I think 2 in front, 3 in the back, something like that. Smallest footprint ever for an Apple computer, which is pretty cool.
Yep, sounds awesome. I've said many times this sounds very cool, and I think Apple's going to sell a lot of these, and people are going to think it's cool. The Mini has always been a cool thing, like I've always said, because you can just swap out stuff you already have and just plug it in and you instantly get a Mac. So the Mini's always been a great way to get people to convert over to Mac. Back when that was still like a thing that was difficult to get people to do, back when Windows versus Mac was a thing, now like no one even cares about any of that stuff anymore. But seems like a cool idea for a cool device, and I am excited to try to come up with an excuse to buy one.
Yeah. The next one is a new M4 iMac, essentially basically the current iMac, but upgraded to the M4 chip. So that might be another one. If you're about to buy an iMac today, you might want to wait a couple weeks. The M3, if that's what they're on, whatever the M1 that they are on right now, is about to be cheaper. And then the M4 is going to be at least slightly better for the same price, most likely. So you're probably going to want to wait for that. The next rumor is something that could be coming more so probably in 2025. So maybe not be at this event, but that's AirPods Pro 4. We just had the Apple event where they announced the new AirPods 4. that include noise cancellation. And then the AirPods Pro have a couple things like a hearing test, and they introduced some software features there. But the difference between the high-end AirPods and the AirPods Pro has become very small. And it looks like they're going to try to make that difference a little more significant coming in 2025.
Yeah, you got to add things to the Pros, man, to keep people buying the Pros. Because putting the noise cancellation on the base model, and I think I said this after the event. So the only reason to get Pros is to get rubber ear tips. Like that's the biggest thing you're getting for. I mean, it's another $100, right? Like I think the price difference, maybe a little less.
I think 70 or 80, something like that.
There you go. So they got to do something to make the Pros more enticing. I'm not sure at this point what that kind of marquee feature would even be, but they're something to get people enticed to buy that higher end. Especially, I feel like most people are on the fence anyway about these things. Because if you look at just AirPods in general, like even getting people to go from what was before kind of the baseline into getting the Pros with noise canceling. That was the thing that people cared about so much. And I think more important than even the price difference between the new noise canceling AirPods and the Pros is the baselines that don't have it. That's almost just there as a bait and switch. So people start to look at that and they go, oh, for just a little bit more, I can get noise canceling. And I'm getting almost all the features of the Pro model. So it seems like both the low end and the high end exist just so they can sell more of that one in the middle.
Speaking of deals right now, I was at Costco the other day, $199 for AirPods Pro. So that's like a $50 discount, I believe. Yeah. I don't know if that's available elsewhere, but if you're a Costco member, you can get that right now. But I don't know, maybe you want to wait because apparently in 2025, they're expected to have a new design and a new chip and a little more focus on health features for the device that are tied to hearing, which we're already seeing that with the hearing test. So maybe they're just going to take it to the next level. Of course, we'd get some sort of added functionality. Maybe noise cancellation would be this much better. Maybe bass response or just general audio quality would be this much better. Connectivity this much better. All these little things to just take these to the next level to justify that upgrade, as opposed to being what you're saying right now, where it's kind of like, oh, this is just here to make me think that these other ones are a very good deal.
Yeah. And, looking at things that I probably don't need but want, like the Mac Mini, like probably these upgraded AirPods Pro, this tabletop Apple HomePod screen, possibly robot thing that keeps coming up. That I guess more rumors from our boy Mark Gurman saying that 2025, man, we're looking at something. So this might be closer than we think to actually getting this thing. And if I look at the kind of whatever the rumors of the specs here, it's going to run Apple apps like Calendar, Notes, and Home, and will feature an interface optimizing for controlling home appliances and getting quick information. So a smart home screen device, like all smart home screen devices, but an Apple one. So yeah, I've always wanted this thing, and still do. Where are you at on this one, man?
I think they'll show me that I need this. I guess it's always funny because they're enabling so many features on so many different devices to where you're like, how many different devices do I need to understand what is happening in my calendar and be able to ask at any given time? And if your phone is nearby, especially with the updated Apple Intelligence stuff, you might be able to get these answers just as quick as if you had a home device with a screen. But maybe it just takes the HomePod to the next level, because I will say that is kind of the only way you control your Apple smart home. And if you use HomeKit, it's very cool, but you're always going to, if you want to see anything, you have to use your phone or an iPad. So I think, this is for that purpose, because there's not much great feedback from the HomePod. If it messes something up, you're just kind of left in silence, and you don't know why anything is not responding or whatnot. I think this kind of would take it to that next level, and then calendar, notes, and all those things. Probably people like us, this is what it's for. People with a smart home that are ridiculous and have multiple HomePods and stuff. We're going to get this and maybe have one of those in like the kitchen or whatever central location we have. But reportedly, this is a separate device from that future robot we've talked about. So that future robot with like a robotic arm is a lot more AI focused. That is like your AI home smart assistant, probably would do all these things, but then take it to the next level. For some reason, having a automatic rotating robotic arm, that's expected in like a couple years. This is their first version coming next year. Hopefully going to be less than $1,000. What price point do you put this at? Because I guess they'd probably want it to be just as good as the big HomePod.
Yeah.
And then add a screen.
Yeah. So the larger HomePod's $350, right? Is that how much the big one is?
I think so. Here, I'll look it up.
I feel like every time I've bought one, it's been when they've been on sale or something at Best Buy. They rarely go on sale.
$299.
$299. Oh, okay.
From Apple.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
So it's got to be more than that. It's got to make it seem like both the HomePod and the iPad Mini is still a good deal, right? So it can't. So it's got to be. You can't sell it for $320 because then it's like, oh, are you telling me a screen is only $20? So they've got to make it more than that. I mean, $500 like is probably a good guess then of where this thing's going to land at.
Yeah.
I think it's going to depend on, is it going to have those nicer speakers? Is it going to be like the larger HomePod, or is it going to be more like a HomePod Mini, right? And what is that screen quality going to be? Is it going to be something really nice, some kind of, high-end OLED thing, or is it going to be like the iPad Mini? So, I mean, you could easily get this thing to cost $1,000 if you put the higher end specs in it and make it make sense. But I don't think people really care or want that. But that being said, things it's going to need to have at least the equivalent of a higher A series chip, so it can do Apple Intelligence, some kind of more RAM for the same reason. So the Apple Intelligence aspect of it might be a thing that kind of bumps it up in terms of price, both in terms of how much it really cost Apple to make it and how much they can mark it up.
Yeah. And have you noticed that branding that Apple is doing with the iPhone? Like if you see the listing for an iPhone 16 on somewhere like Best Buy, probably Target, all these other retailers, it says like iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence. Like that's in the name of the device at this point. And it seems like that marketing is really going to be going forward for them because that's the feature that this delivers. So something like this would be HomePod Mini, HomePod Pro with Apple Intelligence. I think that's what we could see.
Oh, easy money on this, man. I think you're definitely right that that's what they're going to be doing. And yeah, and for one, I think it's a pretty good marketing term because it does differentiate it between the other ones. And it solves a problem that Apple has and that all manufactured products have had since the beginning of time, right? And that if you actually make something good, your customers never come back because they don't need you. So, right? Because if you make something that lasts and works for a while, there's no reason for them to get a new one. So Apple Intelligence does make that kind of leap, that kind of encouragement for someone, say like us, right? It's like, oh, you've got several HomePods. They work fine. They play music. I can talk to them. Everything's working great on it. Why do I need to upgrade that? Oh, this one's got Apple Intelligence. It actually gives me a reason to upgrade hardware that I probably am not thinking about upgrading.
Yeah. So there's been all sorts of form factor rumors here, and they all get tied together with like that robotic arm. Maybe that's the future version, like a HomePod Max, I guess. But there's been rumors of this screen being like detachable, or maybe the device itself is mobile and can then magnetically attach to different docks that you have in your home. To me, that kind of just sounds like an iPad with MagSafe. So they got to find a way to get us to actually want this thing and show us why this is different than just having an iPad always open to the Home app, for example. And it might just be that it's dialed in for these different things and can't do anything else, because sometimes it's nice to have a device that only does certain things and doesn't have infinite possibilities.
And I will say, like, the kind of iPad solution, and there's plenty of people that do this, have like a smart home and they kind of run it off of a iPad Mini that they have mounted on the wall or something. And it's not a perfect solution. It's not a really elegant solution, because that interface isn't really designed for that. Like, the HomeKit interface is really designed for when it's really made for phones. Like the how it lays stuff out isn't optimized for a larger screen. It's not necessarily showing you all the information you would want to see on kind of an always on home information display. So it's not a great solution right now. And there's other stuff that kind of is doing this too. I think about the Apple TV does this as well. It's also kind of like a quasi smart home control device in that you can do smart home stuff through it and, do things like see your security cameras or, activate Siri HomeKit stuff using Siri on the Apple TV. But it's not perfect for it, right? I think something designed from the ground up, like Apple actually making an interface, which everything indicates it's really going to be a reskinned tvOS is what it's going to be running. That I think would be a lot cooler.
Yeah, so those are the next products we should be seeing from Apple come 2025. But in the meantime, hopefully an Apple event is coming in October. We're going to get these new M4 computers. It might be a good time to wait. And then I hope as well that come the end of October, first M4 iPad Pros get Apple Intelligence and succeed with getting iPad OS 18. And then Apple shows us whatever the latest Apple Intelligence features they are going to deliver are.